distances, and at 103 it will tie the record set by Vincey Glenn of the Chargers in 1987. 103.
It's a 14-point swing is what it is.
Yeah, that's Buffalo about to be back in the game down by only 7, and instead it's 6 points the other way on a record-tying interception return, 103 yards as Shula hugs his defensive coordinator.
On Buffalo's next possession, Jim Kelly was sacked by David Griggs. Dan Marino got the ball back. Miami are on the Buffalo's 24-yard line as we rejoin the game.
It's 3rd and 4. Clayton in motion.
Blitz.
There's Jackson. Flags down, and Jackson inside the 15-yard line. Kirby Jackson, the defender, 10 yards if it counts.
Looks like it's going to be offensive pass interference.
Pass interference, offense, number 88.
Keith Jackson using his hands illegally, apparently, to work his way open.
Yeah, he pushes off. Again, they have him separated. You can see what happens. Here's 88, Keith Jackson. You can see what happens on the pattern. Yeah, he does push up. There's no question about that. They don't allow tight ends to do that. They think like they're picking on a little guy.
Everyone else can get away with it.
Yeah, 6'2", 250, can't push 5'10", 180. They'll call a penalty on it all the time.
So after almost a penalty-free start, first 3 games, Miami guilty of a lot of calls today. Bruce Smith moves inside. It's Bobby Humphrey. That was the play that got them the touchdown. He's to the 25-yard line, bringing up 4th down and giving Pete Stoyanovich a little better shot at a field goal. Kirby Jackson made the tackle, and here's Stoyanovich. He's been good from 30 yards on his only attempt today. This one will be with the tricky winds, just inside the 43-yard line. Wind or no wind, almost dead center. Stoyanovich from 43 yards, and the Dolphins build their lead to 34-10.
Into the 3rd quarter at the Metrodome. Chicago leading the Vikings 13-0. Jim Harbaugh under pressure with a 3rd down and 12 play back on his own 17-yard line. But look at this. He completes to Wendell Davis for a 20-yard gain. The drive ended, and Chicago's Jim Harbaugh ran it in from 6 yards for the touchdown. Great drive for him. At the end of the 3rd quarter, the Vikings were driving and hoping to put their first points on the board. But Rich Gannon's pass was again intercepted by Lemuel Stinson. So still no score for the Vikings. Over at Tampa, the Colts trailing the Buccaneers 14-7 at halftime. At the start of the quarter, Jeff George connects with running back Anthony Johnson for a 23-yard gain. 2 plays later, George once again goes to the air and connects with Jesse Hester for a 34-yard touchdown. What a great pass. Meanwhile, the Colts defense is firing on all cylinders as they have sacked Vinny Testaverde 3 times in this period. First Dwayne Bickett, and Chip Banks, and Sam Clancy had a go himself. The Colts took a 3-point lead when Dean Biasucci kicked this 45-yard field goal. The Colts tried to go even further in front at the end of the quarter, but unfortunately Jeff George was intercepted again in the end zone by Marty Carter. So it's 17-14 Indianapolis. So 2 good games there. I wonder if Minnesota can come back. Biggest play in our game has to be Louis Oliver. He went 103 yards. That's a record. But more importantly, it changed the score around. If the Bills score, it's 24-17 to Miami. Instead, Miami scores. They're up 34-10 at the moment, and that touchdown made it 31-10. So they're getting a lead. But the one thing you can never do is discount the Bills' offense. See if they can come back. Join me after this break.
Get some enthusiasm out there! Let's get play ball, okay? Let's play ball. Get some enthusiasm out there! Let's get play ball, okay? Let's play ball.
Dan Marino said his defence had to come up with big plays to win this game, and they don't come any bigger than this Lewis Oliver return, which ties the all-time record for an interception return. A big, big play. Now let's go back to Rich Stadium for the fourth quarter.
This is Steve Tasker on a reverse. And a little tough guy from Northwestern, and he was as happy as the Stanford people. James Lofton, as his Northwestern team, got a Big Ten win yesterday. John Offerdahl made the tackle. Early in the fourth quarter, Miami with a 34-10 lead. Heavy underdogs coming in. Kelly throws it away.
Intentional grounding, yes.
Yep, that's consistent. Dale Hamer called it on Marino earlier.
Intentional grounding, number 12 of the offense. 10 yards, loss of down.
What's fair for 13, it's fair for 12. He called an audible here, but there was excellent man-to-man coverage. He just heaves it. And that's to avoid a loss of yardage, therefore the loss of down.
And the toughest of penalties, loss of down plus 10-yard deficit, as you see how Miami has built this sizable advantage. Down the middle, Kelly, right into the arms of you-know-who. Lewis Oliver again, his third. How far will he go with this one? He's at the 40. Got Lofton to beat, and Oliver's running out of gas anyway. He looked as if he wanted somebody to find somebody to tackle me. I don't want to go that far. 54 yards. Lewis Oliver has himself some offense today. He has over 150 yards in interception offense.
The Dolphins this time were unable to capitalise on the interception and had to punt. We rejoin the Bills at the start of their next drive.
Now Kelly. Pass sailing low and away as he tries to hit Rob Awol. Now just a look ahead for both teams. For Miami, Don Shula's schedule reads this way: Atlanta at home, then they have a bye week before they play Indianapolis, the Jets, Indianapolis again, and then Buffalo. So arguably they're in line to possibly still be perfect the next time these two teams meet. That's Lofton skidding into the open crease for a catch at the 38-yard line. And if you're a Buffalo fan, the schedule for Marv Levy's team next up are the Raiders, Jets, and England. New England a combined 0-11 this season. We'll have Buffalo and the Raiders out at the Coliseum for you next week as the second half of our doubleheader. Thurman Thomas. Two men couldn't get him, but the third did, and it was Lifford Cobley who tries to steal the ball as well. And so far, I don't see any whistle. That may be a touchdown.
Nobody motions anything.
Now official moves in and marks the ball down.
It's a little late.
The ball was fumbled, recovered by Miami. The whistle blew when Miami had the ball. First down, Miami.
So that could have been a touchdown, but they didn't use the I word, inadvertent. But that's what happened.
Let's see if he's hit anything down. No, he's not.
Miami came looking for the turnovers, and they've earned them for the most part. And it's now Mark Higgs around the right side to the 17-yard line. This is the kind of game that Buffalo fans are accustomed to be seeing, but with the home team well in front running away. 34-10 Miami.
No question about that. Buffalo has just never figured out exactly the combination of coverages and fronts that Miami has put up there defensively. This whole football team revolves around that offense and how it's up and down the field. They have not had the ball for an extended period of time today, and therefore Miami's had all those chances with the turnover.
4 interceptions thrown by Kelly today. Tie a personal high or low. Higgs again. Worst loss of last year for Buffalo came at Kansas City when the Chiefs took them apart 33-6. But you really have to hunt to find a home game where Buffalo has had to swallow as hard as they will today. 34-3 at Rich Stadium prior to today, and one of those losses was at the end of last year where it was just a nothing game for them. They'd already clinched all the possibilities.
Breaks a string of 17 straight home wins against AFC East opponents too.
9:27 to go. Marino, and it's Duper. Couldn't quite get himself turned around as Marino had to read the coverage and throw in that spot, and Duper didn't see it quite the same way. Now, if Marino should throw, as Hull goes back to the locker room, if Marino should throw another touchdown pass, it would be 4, and that would tie him for an NFL record with Johnny Unitas. I think it's around 18 or 19 games with 4 touchdown passes.
Well, that's one of the few he doesn't own. NFL record.
In this case, it's 4th down, and Stojanovic will try a 39-yard, make that 34-yard field goal. He is some kicker. What a weapon he has. So you talk about offense, you got to throw Stojanovic in there too. He's offense to go with the Jacksons and Humphreys and Dupers and on and on. Miami.
Well, there were 9 minutes left in the game, but there was no further score, and the Dolphins win it with Dan Marino 37-10. I'm not sure what Jim and Dan are talking about there, but I know Dan enjoyed that game a great deal. Interestingly, on the sideline, he went over and hugged the defensive coordinator, not the offensive coordinator, and said what a great game. And I think that might sum up the day. A big game for Miami's defense. First, they came on with 2 defensive linemen and brought 5 linebackers into the game. I think that confused the Buffalo Bills early on in the game and certainly made a big difference. So Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins certainly now have the upper hand, and that's a big blow to the Buffalo Bills, especially their egos, which there were a few of those on that team. Now let's go for action update on our other games. Into the final period, the Vikings were trailing the Bears 20-0. Dennis Green had his work cut out. On the Bears' first drive, Jim Harbaugh was intercepted, though, by safety Todd Scott, who ran 38 yards into the end zone for the Vikings' first score. Take a look at Mike Ditka. Not very happy. Rich Gannon, inspired by the Vikings' first point on their next drive, he connects with wide receiver Chris Carter for a 16-yard touchdown. On the Vikings' next possession, Gannon throws a screen pass to Roger Craig, who runs for a 22-yard gain. The drive was completed when Roger Craig dives into the end zone for a TD. On the final drive of the game, Jim Harbaugh on a 4th down play was intercepted by Andre McMillan, and this was the game, won the game for the Vikings. This 20-point comeback victory is the largest deficit the Vikings have ever come back from to win a ball game. Well done, Dennis Green. In the final period at Tampa Stadium, Sam Wyche's Buccaneers trailing 17-14 to the Colts. Jeff George, after a shaky start for the Colts, calmed his nerves and connects with this tight end, Kerry Cash, for a 14-yard touchdown. This was the final score, so a good result for Jeff George on his first full game of the new season. Colts win it 24-14. So poor old Sam Wyche loses it, but he still has had an excellent start so far to the season. What about Jeff George? He had a shaky start with 2 interceptions, but a big game for him. Well done. Now let's take a look at the other results that have happened today. And it's the Green Bay Packers losing to my old team, the Atlanta Falcons, 24-10. Andre Rison guaranteed a win for the Falcons, and I guess he came through because he also scored a touchdown. And the New Orleans Saints win a big one up in Detroit, 13-7, and both those teams lost last week. So a big win for the Saints. Well, in week 5 of the season, there are no clear-cut favourites for the Super Bowl, but 2 people who are a step closer to a trip to Pasadena, Anina Wilkinson of Preston, Lancashire, and Viv Williams of Fleeton, Hampshire, who won week 3 of our competition. If you would like to win one of our 2 NFL starter jackets and take part in our playoff question to win a trip for 2 to Super Bowl 27 in January, then it couldn't be any easier. Just give us a call on 0891 300 700 and answer 4 simple questions. Who will win the games between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs? Will it be the powerful running of Herschel Walker? Or will it be Barry Word that makes the difference in this tough match? And the Phoenix Cardinals at the New York Giants. Can the Giants improve on their single win so far this season? And all win between the Atlanta Falcons, who are playing at the Miami Dolphins. Falcons' Deion Sanders has made the baseball playoffs with the Atlanta Braves. The Dolphins hope it will be kept busy until after next Sunday. And tell us who was the last AFC team to win the Super Bowl. The number to dial is 0891 300 700 and the lines are open until next Sunday at 5 p.m. Calls are charged at 36 pence per minute cheap rate and 48 pence per minute at all other times. The average length of a call is under 3 minutes. If you decide to take part, good luck, and we'll have the winners in 2 weeks' time. Interesting, we just saw Deion Sanders running the ball back. He is now in the playoffs for the Braves in baseball for the Atlanta Braves. And something interesting here, the Nike contract that Deion signed, if he plays both sports, he gets $1 million. If he only plays one sport, he gets $100,000. So I think the marquee value of Deion Sanders is certainly that he's a two-sport athlete and the only one, what with the injury to Bo Jackson. Well, I hope you enjoyed tonight's programme. Tomorrow night, the two remaining unbeaten teams come head-to-head when the Dallas Cowboys visit the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll have highlights of that game along with all the other news and views from around the league on Play Action next Saturday at 11:30. Of course, we'll be back live at 8:30 next Sunday with one of the best games from Week 6. So until next time, good night.
American football. 987. Sponsored by Budweiser.
The official Channel 4 American Football Annual 1992-93 by Ken Thomas is in the shops now, priced £12.99. Or you can order it direct by telephoning 0279 427 203.